Okay, Leo, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in the middle of a sentence, a conversation, maybe at work or a cafe,
Oh, yes. Many times.
and then suddenly you just freeze? Like your brain hits a little panic button.
Absolutely. That feeling of, wait, is this verb tense right? Did I use the correct preposition?
Exactly. That hesitation, that sudden stop, that's what we are diving into today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leo.
And I'm Mia.
Welcome back to the English Blend. We are here to talk about one of the biggest challenges for learners.
Today, we are focusing on how to stop freezing up and start flowing. We're talking about fluency versus accuracy.
Yes, because often learners think they are the same thing, right?
They think they need to be perfect to be good speakers. That is a myth we need to break.
Exactly. So grab your coffee and let's get started.
So let's define these two terms simply. What is accuracy?
Accuracy is how correct your language is. It's about grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary choices, making sure everything is technically perfect.
It's the rules, the textbooks. It's important, of course.
Yes, but then there is fluency.
Fluency is about communication, flow, and speed. It's about how smoothly you can deliver your message without stopping.
It's the ability to keep the conversation moving, even if there are small mistakes.
And this is where the big shift happens for A2 and B1 learners, you know?
They spend so much time focusing on accuracy that their fluency suffers. They get stuck trying to construct the perfect sentence.
It's like driving a car, but constantly checking the engine manual while you're on the highway. You can't drive smoothly if you are always looking at the rules.
That is a brilliant way to put it. You need to get your point across.
That's our first key phrase for the day. Get your point across.
What does that mean, Mia?
It means that the person you are talking to understands your message, even if your grammar isn't 100% correct. The goal is understanding, not perfection.
Right. If you are ordering coffee and you say, I want 2 sugar, instead of I want 2 sugars, do you get the coffee?
Yes, you still get the coffee.
The message was received. You got your point across. Success.
But if you pause for 45 seconds trying to remember the plural rule for sugar and the barista walks away, that's a fail in communication, even if your eventual sentence is perfect.
That brings us to why grammar, paradoxically, often blocks fluency.
It's the fear factor. Learners fear making a mistake so much that they refuse to talk.
It's the internal editor. You start speaking, and then that little voice in your head screams, wait, did you use was or were?
And you hit a wall.
Ah, hit a wall. That's our second useful phrase.
If you hit a wall, it means you suddenly stop or face a major obstacle that prevents you from continuing.
Maybe you are talking about your weekend, and you hit a wall because you can't remember the past participle of a strange verb.
And the conversation dies right there. Your listener loses interest, and you feel discouraged. That's why we encourage learners to think, if the person understands me, is it the end of the world if I make a small mistake?
Not the end of the world is a great phrase. It means it's not a catastrophe. It's not a disaster. It's okay.
It's usually used to minimize a small problem. I forgot my homework, but it's not the end of the world.
Exactly. Your listener probably won't even notice or care about your tiny grammatical slip. They care about the information you are sharing.
We need to turn off that internal editor while speaking. Save the editing process for homework.
Think of it this way. When you are practicing, mistakes are just information. They show you what you need to study later.
They are speed bumps, not stop signs.
Right. So how do we train ourselves to prioritize flow over perfection? We have some practical tips.
Our first tip, and perhaps the most important for fluency, is massive listening and reading.
Input, input, input. You have to fill your brain with natural English.
If your brain doesn't hear how native speakers naturally connect words, you can't produce them naturally yourself.
This isn't just listening to study materials. It's listening to podcasts, YouTube videos, movies, anything where people are speaking naturally.
The goal of massive listening is not to check every word in the dictionary. The goal is to absorb the rhythm and the flow.
When you hear English constantly, you stop translating from your native language and you start thinking in English.
And that helps you avoid hitting a wall when you speak.
Our second practical tip is all about learning language chunks, not just single words.
What do you mean by chunks?
Chunks are groups of words that naturally go together. They're fixed phrases.
Like, how are you doing? Or it depends on, or by the way.
Exactly. You don't learn by, the, and way separately. You learn by the way as one unit.
And when you learn chunks, you don't have to worry about the grammar inside that chunk. It's already correct.
It saves brain processing time. Instead of building a sentence word by word, you pull out a ready-made piece.
So if you learn the chunk, to be honest with you, you don't stop and think, do I need to here? Is with the right preposition?
No, you just use the whole phrase and it sounds perfectly fluent and natural.
That's a huge shortcut to fluency. Start collecting those phrases like they are treasures.
Our third tip is the famous 3-second rule.
I love this one. It's a challenge, but it works.
The rule is simple. When you are asked a question or when you want to respond, you must start speaking within 3 seconds.
1, 2, 3. Go.
Even if you don't have the perfect answer, you must make a sound. Or, well, let me see. Or, that's an interesting question.
If you allow yourself longer than 3 seconds, the internal editor kicks in. The fear takes over and you hit a wall.
The 3-second rule forces you to use the language you already have, right now, instead of waiting for the language you wish you had.
And remember, your goal is just to get your point across. You don't need a Nobel Prize speech.
You just need to communicate. If you make a mistake under pressure, it's not the end of the world.
Let me share a quick story related to this. I was traveling in Italy last year, and I needed to ask for directions to a train station.
That sounds like a stressful situation for practicing fluency.
Totally. I knew the Italian word for train station, stazione, but I completely forgot how to correctly construct the question, "Excuse me, where's the train station?"
What did you say?
I panicked and I pointed down the road and just said, Stazione? Dove? Which means roughly, train station? Where?
Did the person understand you?
Immediately, they pointed and gave me directions in rapid Italian and English mixed together. My grammar was terrible, maybe A1 level at best.
But your fluency, your ability to transmit the message, was successful.
Exactly. I got my point across. If I had stood there for 20 seconds trying to conjugate to be in the interrogative form, I would have missed my train.
That's the perfect illustration of why we need to focus on communication first. Communication is movement.
Let's add a fourth practical tip. Record yourself.
This sounds scary, but it's powerful. Find a quiet space, take a simple topic, like describing your day or your favorite hobby, and talk for 2 minutes while recording it on your phone.
Don't stop for mistakes. Don't edit. Just keep talking for 2 minutes, no matter how awkward it sounds. Then listen back. You'll be surprised at how much you said, even with errors. You'll hear your flow.
And you can identify patterns. Maybe you realize you misuse for and since every time. That's your accuracy goal for next week.
You separate the speaking practice, fluency, from the correction process, accuracy.
Our final practical tip for today is adopt the good enough mindset.
This goes back to our core message. Perfection is the enemy of progress.
When you speak, aim for good enough. Aim for functional communication.
If you can express a complex idea simply, that is a massive success.
Don't use a word you aren't 100% sure about if a simpler word will get your point across. Sometimes intermediate learners use complex vocabulary incorrectly just because they feel pressure to sound advanced.
And they hit a wall because the complex vocabulary requires complex grammar that they haven't mastered yet. Keep it simple and flowing.
If you make a mistake and you realize it a moment later, don't stop the conversation to correct it unless it causes confusion.
Just move on. If you realize you said, "Yesterday I go to the store," don't stop and say, "Oh wait, I mean, yesterday I went to the store."
Unless the store detail is vital, keep moving. It's not the end of the world. The listener already knows what you meant.
This is a massive shift in perspective, especially for people who learned English mostly through strict classroom settings. The classroom is for accuracy. Life is for fluency.
And if someone corrects you in a friendly way, thank them. It's free learning.
But don't let the fear of correction stop you from initiating the conversation in the first place. That's the real loss.
So let's quickly recap our main points today.
We talked about the difference between fluency, flow, and communication, and
We said the goal is always to get your point across first. Communication over conjugation.
We discussed why worrying too much about grammar makes us hit a wall and freeze up when speaking.
And we reinforced that small mistakes happen, and it's not the end of the world.
We shared 5 practical steps: massive listening and reading to absorb natural flow,
Learning chunks like, by the way, to save processing time.
using the 3-second rule to force yourself to start speaking immediately,
Recording yourself to separate fluency practice from accuracy correction.
and finally, embracing the good enough mindset.
Practice daily. Find 2 minutes today to talk about something simple without stopping. That is how you build confidence.
Next time on the English Blend, we might dive into the specific vocabulary you need when you are, say, traveling, or perhaps even buying clothes. We'll show you how to use these fluency tips in a real-life scenario.
That was a great talk.
Yes, see you in the next episode of the English Blend.